Hello everyone, it is I, Ravenwood, and welcome back to the RWBY Crew Commentary Notes. I'm your host, Ravenwood, and let's go on to the final episode. Finally we're here! Chapter 13, featuring Miles, Carrie, and Eddie. The Neo versus Orange fight could have been shorter. Yeah, I agree. One point they wanted to show Cinder using the maiden magic to bring some dead AKs, Elysian Knights, back to life to fight Penny. It was going to be some sort of puppet joke. Glad you didn't do that. That sounds cringe and horrible. There are some ideas that I'm kind of glad that you didn't do. Some ideas that I kind of wish that you did do for the final time. I'll say that, and hopefully that'll be the last time for the series for me to say that. I don't like repeating myself when it comes to an idea that you could have had, but you decide to replace it with a joke or punchline. And this is one of those jokes and punchlines or ideas that you had, and I'm glad you didn't do it. Because it just ruins not ruins, it just makes the audience question what can a maiden can and cannot do. But Miles realized that Cinder could just blow up the room and burst through the walls. Okay, fine. Good job, Miles. Don't get me wrong, I will do a bonus episode on Miles. Yeah, sure, it's Volume 8 related, but it's going to be in this playlist because it feels like it belongs here. Anyways, continuing, Brandon is struggling with some heavy emotional stuff that is not resolved at all this volume, but instead is resolved in Volume 8, which should have been resolved in Volume 7. And that's just another thing that should have happened. They're like, that's, oh. So I have two topics I keep circling back to. That I should have had this in Volume 7, or Volume 8 and 7 are so poorly just bad writing, just not written well, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. It's not written well to where it feels like it's one volume now. The entire thing just feels like it's one volume, just like Volume 4 and 5 was one volume. Volume 6, one volume. Volume 2 and 3, one volume. Not 2 and 3. Volume 1 and 2, one volume. Volume 3, separate volume. That's what it feels like. 1 and 2, separate volume. 1 and 2, one volume. Volume 3, one volume. 4 and 5, one volume. Volume 6, one volume. 7 and 8, one volume. And now we're going to go into 9. And hopefully that's going to be its own separate volume. And then 10 and 11, maybe there's 11. Hopefully there's an 11, I don't know. 11 is going to be, 10 and 11 is going to be its own separate volume. And then 12 probably is going to be the final volume of the final volume of the series. And then bada bing, bada boom. Let's find out how many volumes feel like how many 2 volumes feel like one volume, and one volume feels like one actual volume. Anyways, that felt like it was a separate tangent. The writers knew a lot of people wouldn't be happy with Ren's attitude in this volume. Wrong. It actually worked. And it also carried nicely in the next volume, which also worked. But however, I feel like Ren's attitude should have been in this volume and not in Volume 7. Not in Volume 8. It should have been in Volume 7, not Volume 8. But regardless of that, he still cares about Nora, and even though he doesn't communicate well. I feel like this whole entire thing was resolved in Volume 4/5. Whatever. Miles cried during the voiceover session of Freya's scenes for this episode. Okay, here's what I feel like what happened, I'm not sure if this is true or not. I feel like Miles wrote an insert grandma that had passed away, and that Freya is that insert grandma that passed away. And don't get me wrong, I actually think that Freya to a degree, kind of reminds me of my great grandmother who passed away. So like, I don't think that's a bad idea to have like certain characters to be like based off of your relatives or whatnot. I think that was a great idea. I just don't think the execution of the character, or not the character itself, but like the things that the character did was executed right. But the character being, I feel like the character being like an old grandma vibe or something like that. I feel like that was a nice touch. Maybe not like something that I can connect to the character and like. You know what I'm saying? If I were to make a top 10 list, I would definitely not put Freya as one of my top 10. Maybe an honorable mention, but not like a top 10 character list. But anyways, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying that Miles' grandma is, or Miles, or my, I'm not saying that Freya is is the grandma insert of Miles or something like that, or maybe the mother or whatever, or maybe the great grandmother. Maybe we have something in common. Maybe we both have great grandmothers that both passed away when we were young, or something like that. I don't know. I don't care, or I do care, but like, I don't. Let's move on. I don't know how else to word that. Uh, anyways, moving on. They had a lot of talks about how the maiden power would be transferred. They debated if Penny would have to kill Freya. Glad he didn't do that. I'm glad he didn't do that. Okay, I'll say that. I'm glad that you didn't have Penny kill Freya, because then you would have. Oh my gosh, you would have. That would have felt like out of place and out of character for Penny. Uh, except for the fact that she killed herself. So I don't know. Maybe, probably would have been more conflicting for a character, like an actual interesting character that is actually going through shit and whatnot. So yeah, that doesn't sound as bad. But the only reason why I'm glad is because if it would have been a bit out of place. Originally, the pot was going to be broken with one. Did I skip something? Oh no, I did not. Okay. Originally, one of the pod was going to be broken with the pod being attacked, but because Penny is a robot, she could remote interface in and get the powers. But that still felt like cheating, and they didn't want to go there. Okay, um, technically she did cheat by not telling Freya the truth and saying, just flat out saying no. Winter is the maiden. Uh, and the whole aspect of she lives in me now. That feels completely out of left field. Where did that came from? If we had known that, maybe if Freya was the wife of Pietro, then maybe that would have been a much better situation. Like if they were actually somewhat related in some sort of terms, some sort of situation, I guess. Then that whole entire emotional thing, like she lives in me now, there, and then later in Volume 8, when she's now, when Winter's now the maiden, Winter Maiden, her saying I'm now part of you, that would have also been a lot more meaningful, I guess, in a way, maybe. But like, oh, I don't know. Penny getting the maiden powers, just I still don't think that Penny should have existed in the season, or Like, I don't know. In one hand, I don't think Penny should have existed in volume 7 and 8. But in another hand, if you get behind the uh, whole tragic of the current character's loss, then maybe. Now here's another thing. Technically, you could rewrite it to where Penny wasn't in volume 1 and 2 and 3 or whatever. And volume 1, 2, and 3. I can't remember if. Okay, now I'm starting to think volume 1 and 3. 1 through 3 is one volume. Dang damn it. I'm starting to forget events that occurred in volume 1, 2, and 3. Oh well, whatever. When it comes to Penny in the earlier volumes, I feel like maybe if you were to rewrite it, you either have Penny not die, just Pyrrha, or you have Penny die, but don't have it to where it's like a risk being taken away, because you want the whole entire volume feel like there was risk being given, right? So when you have characters dying, you don't want the only character to have died to be just one character. Don't get me wrong, Roman's dead, but like so is Pyrrha, and Penny technically did die. But like it feels like it's a mess because of volume 7, because of I don't know. I feel like if it was probably written in a way to where the writers hinted that she may come back, then maybe. But excuse me, there was no indication, and all that other stuff. And maybe there was some indication, but like I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Oscar was matured so much in his role. Joking call him Farman. Okay, whatever. Ironwood is still expecting Oz to show up. He still really wants that guidance. Ironwood arguing with Oscar is this final scene they wrote in this episode. Ironwood feels that he's back into a corner and is doing the only sensible thing. Or, what he should have said here, if you really want this semblance to be canon and all that, is put in his actual semblance in the actual show. But no, you didn't do that. So this actually makes more sense than his semblance. Or saying that, oh, it's a semblance. Oh, it's a semblance. Oh, it's a semblance. But you don't actually show that he has a semblance in the show. Or you don't have the audience being told what his semblance is. Because if you're a casual fan, how are you supposed to know? How are you supposed to know what Ironwood's semblance is if you're just a casual fan? And don't say Twitter, because what if they're not on Twitter? Or what if they are on Twitter, but they don't follow all the other RWBY people, whatnot, because they just only want to like follow other stuff. Or maybe they just only want to post their daily lives on there, right? Don't judge people what they do on Twitter or why they do it. Just know that they're on Twitter and they're not all going to be on the same reason as you are, okay? And here's also another thing. Not everyone who is a RWBY fan is on Twitter. So there's also another thing to factor in. And I advise that if you're a RWBY fan and if you're not on Twitter, stay off of Twitter. It's a disaster. Winter was waiting to be the Winter Maiden all her life, despite the fact that there was no hint or indication that she wanted to be a Winter Maiden in earlier volumes. So we'll go with that as a fact, I guess, because this thing says so. But in a split second, she gives it all up. Yeah, sure. Because she's been thinking about it her entire life. And then she gives it up. This Anyways, there was one line in Oz's monologue that were struggling for an entire day, or you could just not have Oz's monologue at all. They loved the idea of ending the volume on almost an identical shot where they started, which made a whole lot of fans confused. Sometimes having an identical shot like that where the people are leaving, or where it looks like people are leaving, despite the fact that they said they were protecting the city, you're gonna get fans confused, like they decided to not protect the citizens of Mantle. Huh. Next, Neo's look at the cinder takes the relic and doesn't thank Neo for getting us setting up for some things in V8. Probably a betrayal. But you didn't do that. Neo's betrayal never happened. And if it did, where? How long did that betrayal last? No, it did not. Oh, wait! No, you weren't hinting Neo's betrayal. Cinder's betrayal. Cinder betrayed Neo. Whatever. Whatever. Oz came back at that moment because he heard what Oscar said to Ironwood and made him brave enough to return. Okay, fine, whatever. Miles reveals that the Graham Whale is based off the monstro from Pinocchio. I mean, that's not a big, huge reveal. That's kind of on the nose because Penny Palladina, Pietro Palladina, kind of exists. It is once again said that Volume 8 is the hardest one to hit the right so far. Miles seems super excited about it. Well, spoiler, Volume 8 just wasn't. It was good, but it could be better. If it's not a mess, it just feels like it. Honestly, Volume 8 feels like it could have been better. If you had rewritten Volume 7 so much better in such a way, oh my gosh, like literally Volume 7 is what's weighing Volume 8 down. Technically, you could say it vice versa, like, oh, Volume 8 is weighing Volume 7 down. You have to write me a reason as to why that is doing it, because the volumes come first in order of the following, Volume 7 and the Volume 8. Oh, maybe you could make an argument that Volume 8 is dragging Volume 7 down if you think the Volume 7 was good. It's just because everything just feels, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Volume 8 was made with some, notice the keyword, some fan input in mind, since it was still being written by the time Volume 7 ended. But Volume 9 would be the first one written in a vacuum. Are you sure about that? Are you sure Volume 9 will be the first one written in a vacuum? Because I feel like you've been doing that with all the other ones. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. Maybe. Maybe they're telling the truth. I hope Volume 8 I hope Volume 9 will be better than 8. I mean, they have been saying that Volume 9 has been planned for a while now, so I guess. They've also. Miles has also said that he's been planning Ironwood's demise for a while now. But, however, I don't think it went well. I don't think it also. The execution is just doesn't feel right. Whatever. Volume 8 was made with some fan input in mind. But my question is how much? How much fan input? Because that's something I do want to know. I honestly do want to know how much fan input did you put into Volume 8? Because, oh boy. Woo, look at the time. No, seriously, let's look at the time. 20 minutes in. This is actually much shorter than the previous episode. Huh. So, next episode will be, I know I'm on chapter 13, and there's no more commentary notes after this, but I'll be doing a Miles reaction video. I'll be reacting to a blind reaction. I have not seen either videos. Now, I might have seen like a small snippet of one of them, but I got bored during it, so I didn't pay any attention to what he was saying. And plus, there's also another thing, I wasn't paying attention to it. So I got bored and I wasn't paying attention to the video. So I don't know what he's been saying. I don't know what he has said in the video. So I'll watch the Reddit download. Now these people on Reddit are clever. They are like the best people when it comes to just like taking anything that was once deleted and just reviving it. It's true what they say. What's on the internet is on there forever. And it's gonna bite. It's been biting them in the ass. Whenever they say something that gets a lot of backlash and whatnot, it bites them in the ass. Ass, not ash. They're not Ash Ketchum. No, but anyways, I'll be covering a video on the Miles leak, or the Miles leaked video or whatever, or the Miles. Yeah, I'll title this Miles deleted video reaction. There we go. Yeah, bonus Miles deleted video reaction. I might leave a link in the description below for the RWBY commentary notes, just in case if you want to read it yourself. Excuse me. I'm not gonna put. I noticed that I didn't put the link in every episode of the RWBY in the crew commentary and notes for Volume 7. But I'll definitely do that for this episode. And probably this episode only. I'm not sure if I did it for the first episode, though. Regardless, I'll leave a link in the description for the Volume 7 RWBY commentary notes on Reddit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. See you all guys soon in the next episode. Tip of the hat, yeah. Bye-bye.